In the quiet seaside town of Hyannis, where nothing is as it seems, one man's daily walks turned into a spectacle that left everyone baffled. Each morning, Osto Marino stepped out of his small wooden cottage, accompanied by 6 wild bobcats. No leashes, no fences, just a man and his pack, moving in perfect harmony. Locals watched in awe, snapping photos, whispering theories. Tourists gasped, some even recording videos, but nobody dared to approach. Wildlife experts dismissed it as an illusion. Others speculated, were they trained? Drugged? Had Osto somehow tamed creatures known for their unpredictable nature? Questions flooded online forums, news outlets picked up the story, and soon, authorities were called in. Something about this scene wasn't normal. And as the town dug deeper, they uncovered a truth so shocking, so unbelievable, it changed everything. What was Osto hiding? And how had he achieved the impossible? For weeks, the people of Hyannis had been talking about one thing, Osto Marino and his bobcats. The 68-year-old man walked through town daily, 6 wild bobcats trailing behind him like loyal pets. They weren't restrained, yet they never strayed. The sight was mesmerizing, almost hypnotic. Tourists filmed in disbelief, their videos going viral. Some called it a miracle, others a mystery. But for the town's wildlife experts, it was a problem. Bobcats were elusive, untamed creatures. This wasn't natural. Something had to be wrong. Among those most concerned was Marina Dela Cruz, an animal welfare officer with years of experience. She had seen trained animals, even rehabilitated ones, but never anything like this. Reports poured in, speculating whether Osto had domesticated them or was hiding something far more sinister. Watching a viral clip of Osto and his bobcats walking by the pier, Marina made a decision. Something is not right, I need to find out the truth. Marina Dela Cruz sat in her office, reviewing every available video of Osto and his bobcats. The way they moved, how they responded to him, it wasn't typical animal behavior. She scoured reports, looking for past complaints or legal violations, but found nothing. Still, her instincts screamed that something was off. Determined to uncover the truth, Marina began discreetly monitoring Osto's routine. He followed the same path every morning, stopping at the pier before disappearing into the dense woodlands. At times, the bobcats would wander slightly, but they always returned to his side. It was as if they understood him, trusted him completely. Online, the mystery exploded. Social media was flooded with theories. Some believed Osto had secretly raised the bobcats from birth. Others insisted he had drugged them, forcing compliance. A few even suggested the animals weren't real, some elaborate hoax or trained performers. The growing attention soon reached authorities. Concerned for public safety, Dr. Chin, a seasoned wildlife veterinarian, and Officer Jenkins, a skeptical but fair law enforcement official, were sent to investigate. Their mission was clear: ensure the bobcats weren't illegally obtained or mistreated. If necessary, they would confiscate the animals. When they arrived at Osto's cottage, they expected hostility, resistance, maybe even signs of abuse. Instead, Osto greeted them warmly, as if expecting their visit. "You're here about them," he said, motioning to the bobcats resting near his porch. "Come inside. I have nothing to hide." What they discovered inside would challenge everything they believed. Dr. Chin and Officer Jenkins stepped inside Osto's cottage, expecting a mess, perhaps cages, chains, or illegal substances. Instead, they found a modest, well-kept home. The air smelled of aged wood and faint traces of lavender. A fireplace crackled, casting a warm glow over the neatly arranged furniture. The bobcats, now inside, settled around Osto like house cats, their golden eyes following the newcomers with quiet curiosity. There were no signs of force, no distress, only an unspoken understanding between man and beast. Dr. Chin broke the silence. "Mr. Marino, we need to understand how." "I know," Osto interrupted, his voice calm but heavy. "You're wondering how this is possible." He ran a weathered hand over one of the bobcats' backs, his eyes distant. It's a long story, one I never thought I'd have to explain. He motioned to an old wooden chest in the corner and carefully lifted its lid. Inside were photographs, faded, creased with time. He handed one to Jenkins. A smiling woman. A little girl. Osto, younger, standing beside them. My wife, Maria. My daughter, Evelyn. His voice wavered. They died 12 years ago. A car accident. A drunk driver ran a red light. Just like that, they were gone. Silence filled the room. For months, I was lost, he continued. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I wandered these woods, not caring if I came back. And then I found her. He pointed to the largest bobcat, a sleek female with piercing amber eyes. She was hurt, bleeding. A hunter had left her for dead. I should have walked away. But I didn't. Osto nursed the bobcat back to health, not realizing that in saving her, he was saving himself. One by one, others came, each injured, abandoned, or orphaned. They stayed, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Dr. Chin swallowed hard. You mean to say, they chose you? Osto nodded. We chose each other. Jenkins shifted uncomfortably. That's beautiful, sir. But they're wild animals. They belong in the wild. Osto sighed. I know. His eyes met the bobcats. They understood. No words, no commands, just an unbreakable bond. But even he couldn't fight nature forever. A choice had to be made. And it would change everything. Osto stood by the sanctuary gates, watching as his bobcats were carefully led into their new home. The wildlife officials assured him they would be safe, protected, free to roam vast acres of land without fear. It was what was best for them. He knew that. But knowing didn't make it any easier. As the last bobcat disappeared beyond the trees, an emptiness settled in his chest. For over a decade, they had been his family. His reason to wake up each morning. Now, the silence of his small cottage felt unbearable. Days passed. Then weeks. Osto tried to move on, but each morning, he found himself staring toward the sanctuary, wondering if they still remembered him. Then, one evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, he saw them. Just beyond the fence, 6 familiar figures sat watching. They didn't leave. They didn't forget. Osto smiled. Loss never truly fades, but sometimes, love finds a way to stay.